let's look at how to create, delete, and modify local user accounts in Linux. Each person that needs to log in to our Linux server should have their own separate user account. This allows them to have personal files and directories protected by proper permissions. They also get to choose their own settings for whatever tools they use. And it also helps us as administrators. We can limit the privileges of each user to only what they require to do their job. This can sometimes reduce or prevent the damage when someone accidentally writes the wrong command, and it can help with the overall security of the system. It'll be up to us to manage these user accounts, which are sometimes simply called users. So let's dive right in and see how we create a new user on a Linux system. The command that lets us add a new user is intuitively called user add, and the simplest form we can use looks like this, where John can be replaced with whatever username we want to choose for this specific account. So after we run this command, the following things would happen. A new user called John is added to the system, and a new group also called John is automatically created. The group John will be set to be the primary group of the user John. A home directory is created for this account at /home/John, and this is where John can store his personal files and subdirectories plus his program settings. Their default shell will be set to be the program found at /bin/bash. Whenever John logs in, this is the application he'll be dropped into. Effectively, his entire login session will run inside this app. And all the files from etc/skell will be copied to the user's home directory /home/John, and you can explore it with ls-a/etc/skell if you're curious to see what's inside. We'll see why this so-called skeleton directory is useful in one of the next lessons. And also, we need to note that the count will never expire. We'll see what this means later in this lesson. All of these things happen because the operating system is configured to take some default actions for each newly created account. We can explore these defaults with the following commands. A long form and a short form. Note the capital D for the short form. Other defaults related to account creation can be seen by exploring this file. The comments explain what each setting does. Okay, at this point we have an account for John, but how does he log in? His account has no password right now. To set a password for him, we can use this command. And if later we want to delete an account, such as John's account, we can use the userdel command. Note, however, that this will only delete the John user account. And also, the group with the same name John might get auto-removed. But John's home directory at /home/John will remain. And that's normal because his personal files might still be needed. But if we're certain that those files aren't necessary anymore, we can make the userdel command also remove the user's home directory and his or her mail spool using this command, and of course its equivalent short form. Now, coming back to our user add command, if we're not happy with the defaults, we could choose a different shell and a home directory with a command like this, or its short form on the second line. Of course, if we only want to choose a different shell but keep the default location for the home directory, we can just pass this option. These account details, such as usernames, user IDs, group IDs, preferred shells, home directories, etc., are stored in the file at etc/password, and we can see them if we type cat etc/password. So we'll see a line that looks like this. The first number, 1001, is the ID number associated with John's username. The next 1001 is the numeric ID of its primary group, also called John in this case. Then we can see the home directory and the preferred login shell. User add will automatically select a proper numeric ID from the available IDs, and it'll be incrementally done just by adding 1 to the last one. So for the first user, the ID will be 1000. For the next one, it'll be 1001, and so on. If we want to manually select a different ID, we can use a command like this, or its equivalent short form. The user Smith will have the numeric ID 1100, but also the group called Smith will get a numeric ID of 1100. If we want to see what username and group owns files or directories, we can do so with the usual ls-l. In this case, we'll use the home group, or home folder rather. But if we want to see the numeric IDs of the user and group owners, we can add the -n for numeric option, and they'll be shown to us. It might also be useful sometimes to find out more about the users we're currently logged in as. We can see the username we're logged in as, plus groups we're members of, alongside their respective IDs with the ID command. To print out just the username, you can type, "Who am I?" Up until now, we've created user accounts, but there's another type we can create called system accounts. To create a system account called sysacc, we just add the system option to user add. The numeric IDs of system accounts are also numbers smaller than 1000. So we might see an ID like 976 or 978 for our sysacc account. So why would we create these? User accounts are intended for people, and system accounts are intended for programs. So there will be no home directory created since it's not needed. And usually daemons use system accounts. We might see something like a database program running under a system account. Now let's remove these users and their personal files. If you're following along, these would be the commands that you would use to get rid of John and Smith. And if we ever forget the options for the user add command, we can get a quick reminder by using the help option. Now let's say we create the user John again. But later, we decide that we want to change some details for this account. The command usermod, or usermodify, that's what it stands for, is used for this purpose. So, for example, if we want to change John's home directory, we could use usermod with these options. The first line is the long version, and the second line that appeared is the short version. The move home option ensures that the old directory will be moved or renamed so that John can still access his old files. In our case, /home/John was renamed to /home/other directory. To change the username from John to Jane, we could use either of these commands, the long form or the short form. And to change a user's login shell, we could use either of these. An often used option with usermod is lock, or the equivalent short option with a capital L. This effectively disables the account, but without deleting it. The user will not be able to log in with his or her password anymore. However, they might still be able to log in with an SSH key if such a login method has been previously set up. To cancel this and unlock the account, we can use the unlock option, or its equivalent short form with a capital U. We can set a date at which a user's account expires. And to do that, we'd use a command that looks something like this. After expiration, they won't be able to log in and need to contact a system administrator to re-enable their account. If we want to immediately set an account as expired, we can just choose a date that is in the past. And the date format works like this. It's year, month, and then day. So to remove the expiration date, just specify an empty date. You'll use two quotes with nothing inside. We can also set an expiration date on the password. So please keep in mind that this is not the same as account expiration. Account expiration completely disables user logins. Password expiration forces the user to change their password the next time they log in. They can still use the account. So if we want to immediately set the password as expired, we can use this command. And change stands for change age. So we've just set the last day to 0 for Jane's account. Next time Jane logs in, she'll have to change her password. If we want to cancel this, we can unexpire the password by passing -1. And if we want to make sure that a user changes their password once every 30 days, we could use the max days option and pass the parameter for 30. So if we want to make sure their password never expires, we can set max days to -1. And to see when the account password expires, we can use the list option to see that information. In case you followed along with this exercise, you want to delete the user called Jane and the group called John, and you can do so with these commands. Now, let's explore how to create, delete, and modify local groups and group memberships in Linux. Each user can belong to one or more groups. And why are these useful? Well, here are a few examples. We have a directory full of files that our developers need to work on, so they all need read and write permissions. We'd have to allow 3 user accounts to edit these files: John, Jack, and Jane. An elegant solution to this problem is to create a new group called developers. Then we add our 3 users to the developers group, and finally we make the developers group the owner of those files. And we change permissions so that the developers group can read and write to them. Now, John, being part of the developers group, can easily edit those files. And if we want to temporarily deny John access, we just remove him from the developers group. Or if a new member joins our team, we can just add their user account to the developers group and boom, they have read and write access to those files. We can see how this makes things easier to understand from an administrator's perspective. It's like assigning roles to user accounts, or like user accounts have a label: is a developer or is not a developer. All of this by simply deciding if they will be part of the developers group or not a part of that group. And speaking of roles for user accounts, groups can have other special effects. For example, being part of some group can grant special privileges on the system. 2 common examples. One is the users in the wheel or sudo group who are allowed to do pretty much anything on the system. They can run any program with root privileges, with root being the most powerful user account in Linux. Another would be users in the Docker group who can manage Docker containers. We said that a user can belong to multiple groups, but one of these groups is special. One of them is the primary group, while all of the others are secondary or supplementary groups. The primary group is also called a login group. That's because as soon as the user logs in, this becomes his or her main group. But it's hard to understand with theory alone, so let's see what's so special about this primary group. Here are 2 practical examples. When a user launches a program, it is said that it runs under that user account and group. Otherwise said, the program runs with the same privileges that the user account and its primary group have. And here's another, perhaps more visible example. When a user creates a file, this file will automatically be owned by the user account and their primary or login group. If you want to follow along with this exercise, you'll need a user called John beforehand. You can create one using the user add command. And it's easy enough to create a new group called developers with a command like this using group add. But how do we add our user John to this group? The easiest way to add a user to a group is with the help of the gpassword command. This name comes from the words group password, but don't let the name fool you. Nowadays, group passwords are almost never used in practice. So the main use case for the gpassword utility is to add or remove users from certain groups. And to add users, we can use this gpassword command or its equivalent short form command. And if we want to confirm that this has worked, we can see the groups that John belongs to using the groups command. So in this output, the first group after the colon is the primary or login group, and anything else that follows that are the secondary or supplementary groups. And if we want to remove a user from a group, we can use the delete option or the corresponding /d short option. On rare occasions, we might want to change the user's primary or login group. which is the group that was automatically created with the user account and has the same name as the user. And we can do that with a command like this using usermod-lowercase g. And a user can be part of multiple groups. Secondary groups are created separately from user accounts, and a user can only have one primary group. We can have many secondary groups. So while we're working with usermod, it's important not to confuse this lowercase g with the capital G, as the capital G option changes the secondary groups and not the primary one. So to avoid this mistake, we can make a habit to use the equivalent long option, --gid, instead of -lowercase g. So now if we take a look at John's groups, he's only a member of the developers group. And that shows that his primary group has changed. I also like you to note a difference here. gpassword first expects the username and then the group, but usermod has a reverse order of group name and then the username. And if you find yourself needing help and a refresher on this, you can always use gpassword --help to take a look at these options. And that will show the corresponding syntax showing that the username must come first when using gpassword. Now, to rename the group called developers to programmers, we could use a group mod command like this. Give it the new name option. Or we could use the equivalent short form command, which is -n. If we want to delete a group, we have the group del command. And if we try to run that, we're going to see an error if it's someone's primary group. Say group del cannot remove the primary group of user John, for example. So to fix this, we can change John's primary group back to the John group with this usermod command. And now we can finally delete the programmer's group. So if a user is part of a secondary group and we want to delete it, the command will work without any issues. There's no need to first remove the user from that group before deleting it.